Go ahead.
115 years.
He lived to be 175 years old. Go ahead and read.
Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people.
So now Abraham, he gave up the ghost. He died in a good old age, full of years, and he was gathered to his people. Go ahead and read on.
And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite.
So Abraham been buried now. He's dead, yes, and he's buried, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
You know, and Abraham went the way all of the other dead. He went back to the dust. So now he says he's dead and he's buried. Go ahead and read on.
The Hittite, which is before Mamre.
Go ahead.
The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth, there was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife.
So now we understand where Abraham is, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, he's dead and he's buried. That's where he is, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you know, the way of all of the other dead, they die, and then you take them out there and put them in the ground, and they return back to the dust. Let's go now to Luke chapter 16. Now we can understand it. If you can't understand what it is telling you, at least understand what it's not telling you. Because what happened with the dead, you know, we got the righteous dead. They in the ground until when? The coming of the Lord, right? Then we got the rest of the dead. They in there until 1,000 years later. We read that, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
You know, we read all of that stuff just so you can understand this. So can't nobody take you over here and mess you up when you tell them that man do not ascend into heaven, and they want to run you in Luke chapter 16. Because they certainly going to run you in here. Guaranteed. The only reason they don't know nothing about it. But the preacher done armed them with, you know, with this. And they armed them with that scripture over there where Jesus said, today you shall be with me in paradise. So the preacher done armed them with that. But we understood that one, didn't we?
Yes,
we
sir.
understood that when Jesus said, today you're going to be with me in paradise, he wasn't telling the man, I am going to paradise today and I'm going to take you with me. I am telling you today that you will be with me in paradise.
Yes, sir.
And the man will be with him there. But now, we're going to deal with Abraham here. I showed you clearly that Abraham dead, and he's buried, and he went the way of all of the other dead back to the dust. Abraham long been dust. Abraham was 4,000 years ago, so he long been dust.
Yes, sir.
Luke chapter 16, and began reading at verse 19. 16 and 19. Go ahead and read.
There was a certain rich man, which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate, full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And it came to pass that the beggar died, and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom.
See, they read this and say, well, see, you know, the beggar, he gone up to heaven to be with Abraham. Abraham ain't in there. Where's Abraham at?
In the
ground, isn't he? And he going to be there until the time of the resurrection. But it say Abraham's bosom here. You know why? Because Abraham was the father of the righteous. Abraham, the covenant that God made with Abraham is the covenant that everybody that's going to get in the kingdom is going to come under.
Yes, sir.
That's why it's talking about Abraham's bosom. But we know Abraham is in the ground, isn't it? That's where Abraham is.
That's right.
And that's where he will be until the time of the resurrection. Go ahead and read some more.
The rich man also died and was buried.
Now he said a rich man, he died and he was buried too. All of them was died and all of them was buried and all of them went in the ground and all of them went back to the dust until the time of the resurrection.
Yes, sir.
That is the facts, isn't it? That's
Yes,
why I
sir.
gave you all of them facts first. So can't nobody take you in here and mess you up. Because certainly they going to take you and mess you up. They going to tell you Abraham went to heaven. The beggar rather went to heaven to be with Abraham. But Abraham didn't go to heaven.
That's right.
Abraham went in the ground. Go ahead and read on.
Verse 23.
Go ahead and read.
And in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom.
He said in hell he lift up his eye, seeing Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. We coming back here. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 20, chapter 20 for a minute. Revelation chapter 20. Just give you a reminder of what we read earlier. Revelation chapter 20. And we're going to pick it up at verse 11. This is after the 1,000 years here that we are dealing with. The righteous was in the grave until the Lord came, and the rest of the dead was in there until 1,000 years later, as we read earlier. Pick it up at verse 11. Verse 11, 20 and 11. Go ahead and read.
And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them.
Go ahead.
And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were opened.
Go ahead.
And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works.
Go ahead and read.
And the sea gave up the dead which were in it. And death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
So now, you know, we got this second resurrection, or the last resurrection. You know, you had the judgment. And then you had some that was thrown in the lake of fire, right?
Yes, sir.
And this was after the 1,000 years then,
Yes,
weren't it? Now let's go back to Luke chapter 16 now. So we can put a time on this thing. Luke chapter 16. And we're going to pick it up at that last verse that you read. Luke chapter 16 and, well, pick it up at verse 22. Luke chapter 16 and began at verse 22. 16 and 22. Okay, go ahead and read.
And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the excuse me, and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom.
So the beggar died, and it said here that he was carried by the angel into Abraham's bosom. But we know Abraham is in the grave, right? So this is dealing with another time, not the day that the man died, but this is dealing with some time later. Because the man died, and when you die, there's no thoughts or nothing. You don't do nothing, do you? Go ahead and read on. We read that earlier too, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
And I gave you all of that. So can't nobody mess you up with this. So now you die. You go in the ground. In that very day your thoughts period. You don't love, you don't hate, you don't do nothing anymore. Go ahead and read on.
The rich man also died and was buried.
Now he said a rich man died and he was buried. Go ahead and read.
And in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off.
Now this hell here, it came from another word, and I'm going to give you the meaning of that word. Because when they translated hell, they translated it from different words. Let me find it. I don't know why I turned away from it. Just a minute. I'm on page 270. You see it? Okay. Read that word there. Pronounce it as best you can. Gehenna. That's how you.
Yeah.
Gehenna.
Gehenna.
Let's spell it for me.
G-E-H-E-N-N-A.
Go ahead and read.
The place of...
That's under hell too, isn't it?
Right, under hell.
Go ahead.
Hell. The place of final punishment.
Final punishment. In other words, eternal punishment. So now this hell, that's where it came from. Go ahead. Now, get back to the Bible. Pick it up where you left off at.
And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me.
Go ahead. Wait, you mean the man is talking to Abraham?
Yes, sir.
Well, but this must be after Abraham been risen from the dead then, right?
Yes, sir.
And this must be after the man has risen from the dead as well. Because the dead don't talk. The dead don't carry on dialogue with nobody. You understand what I'm saying? So now if the man is carrying on dialogue with Abraham, this got to be after the resurrection.